From the Mumbai studios of Republic TV, it's time for Arnab Goswami on The Debate.
Ladies and gentlemen, my guest in this second section is Ravi Shankar Prasad, top BJP leader, former union minister. And the story is this: 20 years since the Godhra riots, 16 years since the petition was filed, the Supreme Court of India has given a full and final and complete and unequivocal clean chit to Prime Minister Modi. So tonight, all those who tried to use the Godhra riots to keep Narendra Modi on the back foot have been exposed and called out by the top court. Here is what the court said, and then we shall start our debate.
Over 1,000 people died in the Gujarat riots of 2002. For years on end, the then sitting chief minister was blamed for it.
सच्चाई है कि आज गुजरात की सरकार चलाने वाले झूठे बेईमानी डर और मौत के सौदागर हैं।
इस किस्म का सांप्रदायिक सोच रखने वाला व्यक्ति अपने देश का पीएम बन जाता है, अपना पूरा देश कभी भी सांप्रदायिक दंगों की चपेट में आकर तबाह व बर्बाद हो सकता है।
देश के खजाने को जेबों में डाल रहे हो तुम, नरेंद्र दामोदर दास मोदी। कोई गोधरा कराने वाला सरदार भगवंत सिंह सिद्धू के बेटे को सवाल नहीं कर सकता, राष्ट्रभक्ति की बात नहीं कर सकता। छाती ठोक के कहता हूं तुम्हें मैं।
Case has lingered on from the magistrates court, which had accepted the SIT report, bringing closure to cases at that time, sometime in 2012, and then the High Court, right up to the Supreme Court in 2017. But again, it was sought to be reopened with another protest petition in 2021, which has now been brought to an end with today's verdict.
विस्तार से बातचीत उन्होंने मेरे से की है। उनको जो सवाल पूछने थे, मैंने पहले से ही कहा है कि भारत के संविधान, भारत का कानून सुप्रीम है। कोई भी व्यक्ति कानून से ऊपर नहीं हो सकता है।
His position on the entire incident was clear.
मैं कन्विंस हूं अगर मोदी पर जो इल्जाम लगाए गए हैं और उसमें रत्ती भर भी सच्चाई, अगर 100 इल्जाम है लेकिन एक में भी सच्चाई हो, मैं मानता हूं भारत के उज्जवल भविष्य के लिए, भारत में उज्जवल परंपराओं के लिए चौराहे पर खड़े रख करके मोदी को फांसी देनी चाहिए।
In one sentence in the judgment delivered today by the bench of Justice Khanwalkar, the Supreme Court sets the record straight. They say that there was in the present proceedings that have been pursued for the past 16 years an intention and audacity to question the integrity of every functionary involved. They also add this was done only to keep the pot boiling for ulterior purposes. The Supreme Court also says action needs to be taken against all those involved in the abuse of process under the law.
These observations are a slap in the face of those who churned out questions on the integrity of the SIT, who questioned the Prime Minister, who hatched conspiracy theories, who gave communal color to the sitting government, and those who indicted without evidence. The BJP has a straight question for the politically motivated lobby.
आज हम सभी कॉर्टेज इंडस्ट्री से पूछना चाहते हैं, जिनकी पूरी दुकान पिछले 20 साल से नरेंद्र मोदी जी के विरोध पर चल रही थी, अब कितनी देर और चलेंगे आप?
Because now the reality check is not from a political party, it is from the highest court of the country. Let's debate.
Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad, this 452-page verdict, we can go into it in detail, but the bigger part is, now there is no appeal left. There is no further appellate court. 3-judge bench has delivered the verdict on the appeal. There isn't any response yet from those who made this the numero uno issue against Narendra Modi for 20 years.
Arnab, today I held a press conference in Patna and I called hounding of Modi Modi ji being a part of a cottage industry. Many people made their name, made their fame, made good money in that cottage industry. Many of them became big journalists. Many editors, many intellectuals left liberals, in some way Khan Market gang also. And all this happened in the UPA regime. Or not, just for a recall value, there were 40 investigations against Modi ji by the SIT, the other people, some international bodies, some NGOs and blah, blah, blah. Now kindly see, that is very important, you rightly recalled in your report, that the Supreme Court repeatedly through the SIT headed by Mr. Raghavan, a distinguished former CBI director, said there is nothing against him. And the Supreme Court said in the SIT not even a single Gujarat retired or serving officer shall work. Again they question that. Can you go and file a protest petition? They lead questionable motivated evidence there. The proceeding was rejected by the magistrate court. They go to the High Court. They come to the Supreme Court. Now, the bottom line, my good friend Arnab Goswami, is that Modi ji has succeeded both in the court of law and before the bar of the people of India. Those who were gunning for him have lost till date, and those who used to gun him politically could not even secure their deposits. Let's leave it there. What is their accountability, you rightly point out? A word of regret? Or no, you are a very senior editor of the country. TV journalism has grown with you. I have seen that. Let me recount for you. Remember that famous story, Modi Meter? Some editor used to run it. And today, with greatest of respect or no, I want to flag, because the Supreme Court in a series of elaborate judgments has said there is nothing against him. You recall there is a famous order of the Supreme Court in 2004 and 5, authored by a former Chief Justice, without any evidence, when Rome was burning, Nero was sleeping, and that has become the standard reference point for many of the editors. Therefore, I had said cottage industry. Do they have some accountability? And lastly, or no, don't forget it, they campaigned globally, and a popularly, repeatedly elected Chief Minister Narendra Modi of Gujarat was denied a visa for USA. Good, he became the Prime Minister and the President invited him. But today, why the closure has a great sentimental value for many of us? 12 years as the Chief Minister he was hounded, and 9 years as the Prime Minister he was hounded.
You know, this...
and not in the riot cases or no.
No,
we have discussed that on your channel. And lastly, Arnab.
Yes.
You remember that Sohrabuddin case? How the terrorist owned by the Lashkar-e-Taiba suddenly became a great nationalist whose cause was taken up by everyone to target the Prime Minister, to target the Home Minister, Amit Shah ji. Ultimately, that also came to a closure. Then the Snoopgate Kand, which you also discussed in a very, you were deeply disturbed on that day. I remember I was with you on the channel. Huh? What was the whole objective? Stop Narendra Modi come what may, because he is the only person who is going to deliver. But as people say, falsehood has got slippery foundations. And truth prevails.
That's true. There were two parts of it, Mr. Prasad, if I can intervene. You see, I remember all the cases you're speaking about, Sohrabuddin, Ishrat Jahan. Judge Loya case. And at the end of the day, what happened was that, and I'm just telling the viewers this, maybe you'll understand, agree with me. The idea was to delegitimize an elected government and an elected chief minister and then an elected prime minister. My concern also is that it is not just an anti-Modi campaign. At some point, it becomes an anti-India campaign. Because just before the 2014 elections, when it was apparent that Mr. Modi stands a good chance of becoming the Prime Minister of India, the campaign was to say Mr. Modi is a man with a massacre on his hands. This was the narrative. Narendra Modi, a man with a massacre on his hands, not the right choice for India. And that was not given up after the elections. In fact, it was intensified. And over the last 7 years, since Mr. Modi has been the Prime Minister of India, this campaign has intensified to sort of put a shadow over the Prime Minister, 1, 2, the verdict of the people of India, and 3, the electoral process itself.
Arnab, you are absolutely right. You are absolutely right. I remember some people writing, even if a man who has got blood on his hand is elected by the people of India,
correct,
he does not get exonerated. Remember that?
Yeah.
That big articles?
Yeah.
Therefore, not only delegitimizing the country, but in many ways the entire judicial process, the legal process, the constitutional propriety of the country. And who are these people? Today, with Arnab Goswami, I would like to raise a point. What is your accountability? Arnab, let me expose the double standard today, and I am getting tempted to permit me. Remember when the SIT questioned Narendra Modi ji, when he was the Gujarat Chief Minister, he was questioned for 9 hours. Remember that? No protest. Very quietly, he suffered all the questioning and ultimately gave reply. The court accepted thereafter. Here what is happening? The great Mr. Rahul Gandhi is facing serious issues of corruption before the ED, and the entire Congress apparatus is on the street, including the chief ministers. What was the expression, Maut ka Saudagar? Who coined it first, in spite of all these things? Therefore, Arnab, we have discussed that, but today, when I learned that you will be discussing with me, I said, yes, today I will recall with a great degree of personal vindication and satisfaction many of the stands we have taken over the years. And today I would like to ask Arnab today, where are your great friends who made a great fortune in journalism, sustaining this campaign based upon falsehood?
I don't have any such friends. But on another note,
friends, inverted comma, inverted comma.
No, but on another note, Mr. Prasad, as a jurist, my question to you would be: in our country, we do not have, unfortunately, a tradition or a frequent occurrence of picking up cases of malicious prosecution. Maybe it is the very tenure and the lengthiness of our judicial procedures, the court cases. People are afraid to engage in cases of malicious prosecution. Like many people, in my case, have myself told me that you should file a case of malicious prosecution against Parambir and Waze. But the fact is that that's a very small case. This case is a fit case in my view to file a case of malicious prosecution, because the observations of the court make it very clear that, and I'm quoting, the court says, it appears to us that a coalesced effort of the disgruntled officials of the state of Gujarat along with others was to create sensation, which means there was a conspiracy. Point number 2, the court has said the sizable contents of the protest petition are founded on the affidavits filed by people whose version have been found to be replete with falsehood. The point is about the officials. And so there was a collusion between political parties and officials, because the court, para 79 says that the appellants are quote unquote improvising their grievances and making new allegations, including to involve new offenders as being party to the larger criminal conspiracy hatched at the highest level, which means there was a criminal conspiracy. Just because Mr. Modi has got a complete clean chit today, why should we forget the criminal conspiracy? Which means, who were the conspirators? What happens to them, Mr. Prasad? There has to be a precedent set there as well.
Yeah. Arnab, you have a very valid point you are making. This is a question to be considered in detail, and a structured view has to be taken. But it will not be proper for me to make any comment. I am no more in the government, but let's await as to how this process ultimately unfolds itself. But Arnab, today I would like to highlight the hypocrisy and double standards. हिंदी में एक बात कहूं, क्या सिर्फ गुजरात में राइट हुआ था क्या? सिर्फ गोधरा में हुआ था क्या? In Congress regime, 20 riots have taken place in Ahmedabad itself. There have been riots in UP, there have been riots in Maharashtra, there have been riots in Bengal. Was any objection taken? Was any campaign unleashed? The 6 were massacred who had to loiter so much to get justice. Was any campaign done? These questions are important about the motive of those whose only and only aim was, funded by the NGOs from abroad, that we have to nail Narendra Modi come what may. He has to be stopped. And that larger design today stands completely exposed. Whether they will say a word of sorry or regret, I don't think. But why I am repeating before my good friend Arnab Goswami today that recall value is important in a democracy.
Of course it is. Of course it is. And the language is so clear, Mr. Prasad. It talks about the falsity of the claim. And it talks about, it says, quote, intriguingly, the present proceedings have been pursued for 16 years, including with the audacity to question the integrity of every functionary involved in the process of exposing the devious stratagem adopted to keep the pot boiling for ulterior design. Which means somewhere, my last point is, somewhere this lobby did not want to let go. It wanted to keep the pot boiling so that it could tell the world, publish in the global media, make this a subject of conversation. It used every strategy to say, you may have the confidence of the people, but we will still call you a mass murderer without any proof. So I think there was the use of the word pot boiling is very,
very right.
And it's a very experienced bench of the country's highest court, Mr. Prasad, which is making these very strong observations, very, very strong observations.
Arnab, I totally agree with you. Just to tell you, Arnab, when the great Mr. Lalu Prasad was the railway minister in the UPA government 2004-05, Justice U.C. Banerjee, a retired Supreme Court judge, was a single-man inquiry in the firing in the Godhra bogie of the train taking car sevak from Ayodhya to Ahmedabad. 50 car sevaks were burnt. And remember, he came with what a funny and shameful report, that there was no attack on this bogie. The fire was taken by car sevak themselves from inside. Can you believe it?
Yeah.
We castigated and ultimately challenged the Supreme Court had to set it aside. But Arnab, as we always say, Indian democracy and Indian rule of law has a great beauty, that truth ultimately triumphs.
Absolutely.
And that is the day today, which ultimately brings a lot of closure and also vindication.
And on last note, I shall say.
But
Yes.
Yes.
No, you were saying something.
No, just a minute. I had a sense of personal fulfillment. In the last close to 15 years, I don't know on how many of your program we have discussed Gujarat and the way falsity was sought to be perpetuated.
Well, if I have a good memory on dates, since both of us are getting much younger, Mr. Prasad, you have been debating this issue with me for at least 19 years. And since you became a spokesperson of the party...
Oh my goodness, great.
It's 19 years back, you and I did our first program on the Gujarat riots when you were a spokesperson of the party. So, yes, you would have a degree of fulfillment, and I can see you beaming and smiling today. Thank you very much, Mr. Prasad, for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you. Grateful. Thank you, Arnab. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm sorry I kept the panel waiting. Mr. Aslam, Danish Qureshi, Suneet Chopra and Professor Monojit Mandal, I shall give you the floor first, and not to Savio, Sushil, Ratan Sharda or Ms. Aparajita Sarangi of the BJP. There is something called grace. And today you should gracefully admit, gracefully make an admission that a 20-year campaign has failed. The truth has come out. And that you've been extremely unfair and opportunistic while using a false case against Prime Minister Modi. Which one of you would like to start with first? I'd let any two start. Okay, Syed Aslam wants to start. Syed and Monojit on one side. Aparajita and Ratan Sharda on the other. We're opening the debate.
Yeah. So Arnab, today all I want to say is, Tumhara shahar hai, tumhi khatil, tumhi muddai, tumhi munsif.
Ridiculous. This is the Supreme Court of India. Please, this is the Supreme Court of India. This is the Supreme Court of India, please. No, this is the Supreme Court of India. Aparajita Sarangi is responding to you right at the start. Aparajita Sarangi is responding to you right at the start. You have no right. You have no right. You have no right to make these observations about the Supreme Court. You have no right. Aparajita, please.
You are basically issuing a contempt against the Supreme Court of India. This is Supreme Court of India judgment. And we must learn to honor the judgment of Supreme Court. Please don't question the wisdom of the Supreme Court judges. This is nothing short of contempt of the Supreme Court.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You need to allow us to speak. It has been more than 20 years. Justice delayed is justice denied. Those were the darkest days of those were the darkest days of civil society.
Justice has been delivered.
So very unfortunate.
It is truly unfortunate.
Even today, this arrogance can be seen.
Nobody say we have highest respect for the court, but we are deeply disappointed.
There is a statement, when small people cast long shadows, the sun is about to set.
Do not forget more than
I'll allow Syed, replacing Syed with any others, please. Mr. Syed Aslam, thank you. Mr. Aslam, thank you. You made your point. I'll let Aparajita respond, and I'm telling you, viewers, what happens is, today this lobby is extremely frustrated. It is in denial, but because it also knows there is nothing beyond this. See, for 20 years, you have called a man a mass murderer. Because first you didn't want him to continue as Chief Minister, then you didn't want him to become Prime Minister, and then you didn't want him to continue as Prime Minister. It's as simple as that. And this man we are speaking about, the Honorable Prime Minister, today gets these observations of the Supreme Court. And by the way, Mr. Sharda, it is a very senior bench of Justice A.M. Khanwilkar, Dinesh Maheshwari and C.T. Ravi Kumar. Either we are saying today that we don't follow the Supreme Court of India. If we are going to say that, we set a very dangerous precedent in our country. I'm not even reading the observations, Mr. Sharda. I think an apology is in order from this lobby today. Mr. Sharda.
They will never, because their faith in Constitution, their faith in law and order is only skin deep. It is there till they are actually able to exploit it. The day they get something adverse, they will start saying that Supreme Court is actually dictated by somebody else. These are most dangerous anarchists and coming on the TV panels trying to say we are saving the democracy. One particular observation I must make by Supreme Court, which is what should happen. All those involved in such abuse of process need to be in the dock and proceeded with in accordance with the law, because this exploitation of constitutional provisions by these people has been going on for years. They keep on abusing people. They keep on putting charges on people without any proof or evidence. You come here, you say all these evidence is false. I'll just give you some example. These people who are whitewashed, you know what happened in Bengal? I'll go to the history of more than 100 killings, only that I'm talking about. 18 such cases since 1965, out of which 10 took place under Congress and allied rules, 3 under president rules, 4 under other parties, 1 under BJP. Of this, Ahmedabad is 1200 killed. You have Bhagalpur 1200 killed. You have got Delhi 2700, which was of course massacre. It was not at all a riot. Nearly 1800. Murabad 1500. Gujarat riots before him lasted for 3 months. Keep your advice to yourself and be ashamed.
Professor Mandal, let him complete. Professor Mandal, let him complete, and then I shall bring you in. Yeah.
In the name of insulting Modi, you have insulted the nation across the world. Just to somehow put him down, you have put the image of Indians, the majority Hindus, as those riotous people. That is why communal violence bill was brought in, so Hindus can be abused as rioters. And that is the image you want to create in the world. Are you doing any service to the majority community? The community which gave shelter to every person possible in the world, which let them nurture and grow and be a wonderful part of this nation. That though you are creating those people as victims, and you are treating people who gave them the right space as attackers. Constitution. The Constitution which gives special minority rights.
Okay. Mr. Sharda, now we are going. Mr. Sharda, we are straying. We are straying. Mr. Sharda, we are straying. Mr. Chopra, just 1 minute. I want you to.
You know, Mr. Arnab Goswami, in Sundarbans, scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, Hindus from Bangladesh were butchered with guns. They were killed with guns. There are books, and these people come here and tell us about massacre. These people support people who kill 10 people across the world. These people
okay, Mr. Sharda, take my request and please allow me. You see, I want to just. Mr. Chopra, I'm not going to ask anyone to shut up. I'm not going to ask anyone to shut up. Okay, Mr. Manojit Mandal, this is not a Trinamool Congress meeting. Please allow me to continue. Allow me to continue, viewers. Okay, Mr. Manojit Mandal, just 1 minute, please.
How can it be
Mr. Manojit Mandal, 1 minute, please. See, I am going to go by what the court has said, and I hope we all listen. I hope we all listen. Just 1 minute. Listen to me, Mr. Mandal, right? We have to go by what the court.
Because this is your meeting.
Can you just allow me?
You and the BJP.
Can you just calm down, please? The point here is.
The
court has said that this is. You're not my suffix. You're not my prefix. You're not my conjunctive. You're not my semicolon. You should learn to become a sentence on your own. Right? Let me complete what I'm saying. Let me complete my sentence. You complete yours. Why do you want to take shadow under my? Let me. You see, you people. The problem with all of you today. The problem. See, today I'm laughing. All of us are smiling. You are stressed. My point is.
Please be short. You have already given time to your own BJP man.
Because more than 2,000 people had lost lives in Gujarat Riots.
But your friend, a simple noun.
Okay, thank you. Point is, okay, so I just want 10 seconds. You see, what the court has said today is very significant. The court has said that somebody was.
We all have read it.
Oh no, you haven't read it. The court has said
you read it
that the appellant was indirectly questioning the decisions rendered by the courts in other cases, including sub judice matters for reasons best known to her. She was obviously doing so. Aparajita Sarangi says she was obviously doing so under dictation of someone. In fact, the sizable contents of the protest petition are founded on affidavits filed by those persons whose version have been found to be replete with falsehood. Which means basically, the point the court makes is that there was some external hand who was constantly litigating and trying to drag Mr. Modi in. The court has seen
You
through
don't
it.
need an external hand for 2,000 people killed.
The analysis.
Who has killed them? The court has to say.
You don't follow. You don't follow. You don't follow this. You don't follow this. You don't follow this. The problem is Mr. Sunit Chopra. The limited point is the following. Mr. Monojit Mandal, why do you want to keep? Why do you want to do this? Why do you want to do this? Why do you want to do this? Is any of us saying here on the
what it has said?
Now,
the court has to
viewers,
say
viewers, do you want to hear me? Viewers, do you want to hear me? Should I open the phone lines and ask people whether they want to hear me or they just want to hear you? I'm making a point tonight. I'm the anchor of the program.
It's not the question.
Allow me to say.
Point in opening the phone line.
It's not the question of one person.
You know,
State was in complicity. The entire state government was in complicity. Not the question of one person.
I'll tell you. I'll tell you.
State being in utter complicity.
I'll tell you one thing.
Causing this riot.
I thought it was a debate.
Yeah, it is a debate. But Mr. Mondal is not stopping.
Look how these people are laughing on the dead body. That's BJP's culture.
Mr. Mandal, you have to understand.
It's turning into a comedy show.
How sadist they are.
You have these poorly informed panelists. The poorly informed panelists are even questioning the Supreme Court.
They're still crying for justice.
The poorly informed panelists are even questioning the Supreme Court. That's going to be the height of it. Today, they are not willing to believe the Supreme Court. These poorly informed people don't even want to believe the Supreme Court. What more can you say but laugh at them? You can laugh at them. I'm laughing at your stupidity. I'm laughing at your stupidity, Professor Monojit Mandal.
The people,
I'm laughing at your stupidity.
Put the victims of Godhra riot,
the Supreme Court has cleared Narendra Modi's name. The Supreme Court has cleared Narendra Modi's name.
Now you get a
walk.
I am not questioning the court.
Take a walk on the bright side of life.
Appealing to the court.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been cleared by the highest court in the country. He was innocent before.
I wish to. Savio, if I may, one minute, gentlemen, just Manojit, you are also not by background music, so please allow me to complete my point.
You know,
I need to make 30 seconds in uninterrupted, please. See, again they start. I don't know what to do.
Now, we are with the Supreme Court legally.
If you need to stop now. Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Chopra,
one minute. Savio, just 30 seconds, please. 30 seconds, please. 30 seconds, Mr. Chopra. You see, just 30. I am not like you. You see, what is the fundamental difference between you and me, Mr. Chopra?
I was there.
You can speak for 30 minutes and not make sense, and I can speak for 30 seconds and make complete sense. That's the only difference between you and me. Otherwise, we are the same species. 1 minute. Now,
anyone could have stopped the riot.
Now, I want to say something. See, okay, I would like to call out some panelists. I'd like to call out Aparajita and Sushil Pandit, who have not spoken. And I would like to call out Syed Aslam and Danish Qureshi. See, the point is nobody is saying the riot did not happen. The riots happened. Nobody is in denial. Godhra happened. The train was burnt. Car sevaks were killed. The post-Godhra riots happened. People were killed. There is no doubt about it. The only question is, was there a conspiracy? The question before the court and the SIT was, is there a conspiracy between politicians, VHP, RSS, Bajrang Dal, members of the state government, bureaucrats, politicians, public prosecutors to hatch a large criminal conspiracy to precipitate mass violence? This was the question before the SIT, and there what happens is, there has to be some material to prove the conspiracy.
Of course it is.
And if the material is not there, allow me, then it is for the higher courts to decide whether the SIT has done the right job. The Supreme Court says that the analysis and opinion of SIT of the materials collected during investigation, allegation-wise, witness-wise, as well as offender-wise, are broadly agreed upon by even the learned amicus curiae, except the observations made regarding some matters, which observations have also been thoroughly inquired to by the SIT by way of further investigation. And basically, it is said there is no material to even suspect there is a conspiracy. Now, that if the Supreme Court says, if the Supreme Court says there is no material to suspect a conspiracy, then that's it. Which higher court do they want to go by? Aparajita Sarangi, please. Aparajita Sarangi first, one by one. One by one. One by one. Aparajita Sarangi first.
Arnab.
Satyamev Jayate. Truth shall ultimately prevail. And we are all elated today, if I can say that. You know, it's a historic judgment which has unveiled the conspiracy of all these people who are part of the Congress and its ecosystem. You know, they have all the while tried to tarnish the image of a person who has been in the chair, who has been rendering public service with utmost integrity and tremendous efficiency for the past 20 years. 12 years as the Chief Minister and 8 years as the Prime Minister of the country. Now please don't forget that this particular case has gone everywhere, Metropolitan Magistrate, and then of course the SIT constituted by the Supreme Court, and before that the High Court. 60 probes have taken place, and all these probes against Honorable Prime Minister have given clean chit to him. So I think today, it's high time that all these people who have been shouting should have the decency to put the lid on this case and accept defeat. You know, three words are coming to my mind: consternation, annoyance, arrogance, discontentment, harassment. I mean, these people, these words I can say, and you can just imagine. These are written on the faces of all these people who are arguing against the judgment of this Supreme Court.
All right, ma'am, thank you. Arnab, I just want to tell you one thing. I wonder how would this person get sleep? There is not a single, not a little remorse, they're showing. Not a little remorse they're showing that more than 2,000 people had lost life.
Yeah, but the angle of you see the Syed, thank you. Syed, I want Danish to come in. Syed, Danish has not spoken. I am repeating it again here. The point is just let's not heckle. Sushil will speak. Danish will respond. Danish and Sushil. Point here is this. See, understand one thing. You don't like Modi. Doesn't mean, allow me to complete, please. You know, I can't speak like this. Danish, you just wait a minute. Point is, you don't like Modi, but you can't accuse him of a conspiracy if there's no evidence against him. You don't believe the Supreme Court. Who do you believe? There is no conspiracy. There's no conspiracy. End of story. 1 minute. The point is, I want Sushil to come in. Sushil. Okay, Danish and Sushil. Danish first, then Sushil. Yeah. Danish.
Thank you. No, thank you. Number of questions are unanswered. Who has given a power to Godhra collector to hand over the bodies rather than the families member, those who are the victim? Number two, वो कौन सी गौरव, अपराजिता जी ये सवाल मेरा आपसे, वो कौन सी गौरव था जिसकी यात्रा मोदी जी ने 1 साल से कम समय के लिए मुख्यमंत्री रहते निकाली थी?
आप बात समझिए दानिश जी एक मिनट, दानिश जी
स्थिति को समझिए और सर्वोच्च न्यायालय के आदेश का पठन करें, सारी बातें खुलकर सामने आ जाएंगी। दिक्कत यह है कि आप पठन नहीं करते हैं, पहले तो आदेश पढ़ रहे हैं। सर्वोच्च न्यायालय के आदेश के बाद अब तो शांति बरकरार रहे। दूध का दूध और पानी का पानी हो गया। एवरीथिंग इज एब्सोल्युटली क्लियर नाउ।
Satya is waiting to Jayate in that matter.
You see,
victims are waiting for the justice.
Danish, 1 minute. Danish, can you not shout, please? First of all, आराम से बात कीजिए ना। मैं आप तो चिल्ला नहीं रहा ना, आप आराम से बात कीजिए। मेरी बात सुनिए। देखिए अगर बात यह है 1 मिनट, बात यह है सुशील पंडित जी, यू कैन ऑल्सो कम इन टू दिस। if the SIT had not done the right job, then it is for the Supreme Court to say that the SIT has not done the right job. If the Supreme Court had said this today, then this same lobby would have said, Supreme Court, I want you to be quiet now because I'm saying something. Daniji, now you be quiet, let me complete. Let me complete. If the Supreme Court had said that the SIT has not done its work with sincerity, objectivity, they would have celebrated the Supreme Court. Today, because the Supreme Court has said that the SIT has done its job with sincerity, objectivity and dispassionately, they want to discredit even the Supreme Court of India. Sushil Pandit, there is no end to the negativity of this lobby.
Yes, Arnab, you can't expect them to ever be satisfied with anything. But I must very candidly state something here. Though this judgment has come after 2 decades and everyone wants to welcome it, most of us are very happy about it.
Sushil.
But there are it's come 2 decades too late, Arnab. Can I have some peace and quiet? I'm trying to make 2 serious points. I don't want to shout. Please, I want some peace and quiet for these 2 points after more than half an hour of screaming and shouting in this debate. May I have the courtesy, please?
Sunit Chopra. Yeah.
I think after 20 years, while you welcome this judgment, there are some terrible distortions that have been inflicted on India's body politic. And one of those distortions is that our Prime Minister, his reputation has been besmirched as a mass murderer, as a Muslim hater and a Muslim killer, and an entire generation of Muslims and their minds have been vitiated against him through a propaganda. May I please complete? May I please complete? And this has distorted the entire policy regime in this country. Today, a whole lot of schemes have been unleashed to appease Muslims, in order to please them, in order to help them, in order to give them an undue advantage. I think this blemish is being washed today with a huge amount of resource and distortion in our policy regime. Number 2, the other big distortion that happened, the second distortion that happened was our Prime Minister was bandied about as some kind of a macho Hindu avenger. This again is a distorted image. People must know that more than 250 Hindus were killed, and most of them in police firing. In no riot since independence, so many Hindus have lost their lives in police firing. If this were a government-sponsored program, this wouldn't have happened. So many convictions have happened. People are rotting in jails. People have been put in jail on cooked up evidence. This is what has happened.
Okay.
Precisely. So, these 2 permanent distortions have happened in Indian politics.
Who are you talking about? Let's look at what the court.
Thanks to an entire lobby.
Let's look at what the court has said today. A minute, Mr. Mandal. Mr. Mandal, 1 minute. Mr. Mandal and Sunit Chopra. I don't know what's happening. They're so jumpy tonight, aren't they? Okay. Sunit Chopra, you are in no mood to take any questions.
The judgment is there. We stand by it, but no judgment is infallible.
Okay. My question is, Mr. Mandal, could you take a question, please? Mr. Mandal,
yes.
The top court has said. Yes. The top court has said that this is a falsehood-ridden case. Falsehood-ridden case. It has said, and I would like to quote this to you. The sizable contents of the protest petition are founded on the affidavits filed by those persons whose versions have been found to be replete with falsehood. When the Supreme Court of India says that there are falsehoods in the petition, when the Supreme Court of India says things like there is a larger criminal conspiracy hatched at the highest level, you don't believe the Supreme Court. Who will you go by? My question is, Mr. Mandal, who will you go by?
new
Who will you go by?
on what actually happened.
Who will you go by? This is the Supreme Court of India has said this. Who will you go by?
We stand by the Supreme Court
put into jail
as
for
a judgment.
than any other government,
But
any other state.
Can I appeal to my
for the
court?
victims.
Have you put your own people in jail who are rioted? Only in Gujarat. Only in Gujarat have people who rioted
What
have
was
been
the
put in
reason
jail.
behind burning
Justice
of the
been
train?
delivered. What kind of
Can we
logic
get
you are
to
talking
know that
about?
you have the right
Have
to
any
know
other
under
rioters
the
been
Constitution of India
ever been
if
put
Mr.
into
Modi
jail
has
by
got
your people?
justice
What
to
about
the
1984
victims?
people? They were leaders.
justice?
They were ministers.
Are they
And you
entitled to
were,
justice?
all your Congress people were
This is what
felicitating them.
democracy is all about.
This is your standard.
Even after
Have
20 years,
TMC
Monarchy,
many of
monarchy.
them are
put into
homeless.
jail?
Some of
No.
them fled the country.
Has CPM goons been put in
People
jail?
were
No.
burned down on the
Because
streets.
they are a
The
partner.
train was burned
But
down.
in Gujarat,
We have
all the
seen,
rioters are
we
put into
saw
jail.
what
They are
happened.
suffering jail term.
And you are saying that
Whether they
nobody is
are-
responsible
I
for
think
that.
Mr. Mandal,
But they are
Mr.
suffered.
Mandal,
We
I'll
have
bring.
got no right to look for
case.
justice.
Mr. Mandal, I'll bring.
Mr. Modi has got justice.
Mr. Mandal, I would tell you, I would tell you the bottom line of this today. The bottom line is this. It's too much shouting. Bottom line is Aparajita and Savio on one side. The bottom line is this, Mr. Mandal. Mr. Mandal, please don't speak over me. Please don't speak over me. The bottom line is this, viewers, that the curtains are finally down on a false litigation. The curtains are, I can't be disturbed. Anand, you'll have to get the windows right. Thank you. The bottom line is that the curtains are closed on a false case. And there has been a thumping judgment from the Supreme Court. There's only bottom line. Aparajita and Savio. Now they're not going to accept it, but that is the bottom line.
Not the
You see-
cries and tears.
Savio. You
That
see,
is still
Arnab.
crying, they're
Yeah.
still weeping. That will
You see,
continue.
Arnab.
The people are still weeping.
Arnab, these people will not even believe the Supreme Court because they have to take permission from Sonia Court. That is when they will believe it. This whole drama starts from there.
You go to
Imagine,
Sonia Court.
for
You go
20
to Sonia
years you
Court.
harassed
You go
a
to
man.
Italy.
Today
You
a
go to
Supreme
Italy and
Court has
Sonia
passed
Court.
an order, but they haven't
You
got
go to
permission
Supreme
from
Court.
Sonia Court.
You go to
That's
Italy.
the problem. Sonia Court has not cleared it.
You go to Sonia
Court has not cleared it.
And go look
That's
for
why.
visa
And in their eyes,
Sonia Court. We
the
want justice.
Sonia Court is higher than the Supreme Court in their eyes. That's the problem. That's the problem. Admit the problem, my friend.
I think there would be an apology
Mr.
in order,
Monajit
but maybe I was
Mandal,
expecting
drink
too
some
much.
nice cup of hot tea.
Yeah, the point being made, Aparajita, and I hope we can have a reasonable conversation on this, is that the court has said that there is no indication therein about the perceivable link.
Hot risotto.
Yeah, good. There is nothing to show the hatching of a criminal conspiracy at the highest level for causing and precipitating mass violence, which means, simply put, that Narendra Modi had no role. Simply put, Narendra Modi had no role in any conspiracy regarding the Gujarat riots. This is the finding of the highest court of the country on a follow-up appeal. That's what it boils down to.
Today has just underscored.
Number of commission's reports are there that if the state is not interested, riots cannot be continued than more than
Sir,
one or two or 4 hours.
if you don't want to, it's quite clear that you don't want to believe in the court, but I'd like Aparajita and other people who are more law-abiding citizens to also be heard. Aparajita, it is clear to me. Aparajita, it is clear to me. No. We are therefore in a situation today where there are people in the country who don't believe in the institutions of this country. They don't believe in the electoral process. They don't believe in the election commission. They don't believe in armed forces. They don't believe in the judiciary. They don't believe in the Supreme Court. But they believe in the New York Times.
Only when it
and the
works
Guardian.
to their advantage.
Yeah.
What was the
So how?
Correct.
Narendra Modi to Gaurav Yatra? What was that Gaurav? What was that Gaurav?
And they believe in Mia Khalifa.
Yeah.
They believe in Mia Khalifa.
These are the questions which remain unanswered, Arnab.
I'd like Aparajita to
these
come.
are the questions which remain unanswered.
Aparajita, how will you deal?
And Aparajita was saying that Satyadev Jayate.
Aparajita, how will the...
What about the justice in Akshardham matter?
No, 1 minute.
Nobody is convicted till today.
Thank you, Danish. Thank you. Aparajita,
Please
how will you deal with these groups?
Arnab.
How will you deal with these groups who have absolute contempt for the Supreme Court of India and every
See,
institution?
very rightly today, my esteemed colleague, Sri Ravi Shankar Prasad ji has called them members of a cottage industry. You know, Congress and its ecosystem are part of a cottage industry, and this has been there since long. Tista and this lady, the person who has gone to the court, the appellant, Jakia Jafri, all these are part of an ecosystem, and they have all the while tried to stop Modi ji. Now Modi ji has moved forward, not caring about what's happening around, and in fact, please recall that SIT had interrogated Prime Minister Modi ji when he was CM Gujarat for full 9 hours. And when Sri Modi ji came out of that interrogation, he said, nobody is above law, we should respect the constitution and abide by the law. And a couple of days back, when ED started interrogating Rahul Gandhi, all hell broke loose. 2-3 chief ministers from here and there, whatever number that they have, they all squatted on the streets of Delhi. I mean, this is the kind of discipline that they have, the sense of discipline that they have. And now Honorable Supreme Court has put a lid on all these arguments. Now I'm hearing everybody, there is no fact, no content in any kind of argument which is being placed today.
Okay, viewers, finally the court says...
the wisdom of the judges of
yeah, absolutely. Finally the court says that as a matter of fact, all those involved in such abuse of process need to be in the dock and proceeded with in accordance with the law. I truly believe it is cases like this which make us all think about the need for serious attempts at filing cases for malicious prosecution. Perhaps the Prime Minister, perhaps others should think of filing such a case for malicious prosecution for those who misused their positions. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings me to the end of another debate. Now there's a big fight brewing within the Shiv Sena. Numbers are in Guwahati. What is Uddhav Thackeray going to do? And is this matter going to go to court? Tracking all that, I shall see you during the weekend. Good night and goodbye.